pandemicide. You know, I first was introduced to the idea, though not the specific word, thinking about the famous case of General Amherst, who ordered smallpox-laden and contaminated blankets given to Chief Pontiac of the Ottawa Indians in order to spawn an epidemic. And that was arguably the first act of biological warfare on the North American soil. And one could argue was an attempt at pandemicide, but surely nothing approaches the scale of what we witnessed from the moment Donald Trump decided to challenge the election and claim that it was all of a hoax until Inauguration Day, when he finally got on a helicopter and went to Florida. In that window, we saw the epidemic more than double. We saw a huge death toll. We saw the announcement that vaccines had been approved, but a complete failure to execute the rollout of vaccination. And we discovered that many of the vaccine doses that they claimed they had were not actually existent, certainly not on hand in U.S. custody. And we saw mistake after mistake made as Trump's own rallies, every single gathering of support for the president featured not wearing masks and being shoulder to shoulder with your comrades, shouting the name of Donald Trump.
You know, and I think if you go back even to his bout with COVID and you pull back to all the damage that he did with that by putting Secret Service agents in a car when he was still infectious, by lying to the country about just how sick he is. We've learned in more recent reporting in the New York Times that he actually was minutes, hours away from being put on a ventilator himself. To be that sick and come out and lie, come out and create all these videos ripping off his mask and saying, if I can beat it, you can too. It's not so bad. It is unknown how many people followed his lead. If you just deduce that what, half of the people who voted for him believe him on COVID at a minimum, how many people do you think have been put at risk because of his lies and disinformation on the pandemic, Laurie?
Well, certainly if we go beyond, all the way out to this time last year, we come to a much larger number than the figure that I was focusing on by targeting the period when he actually just disappears on us. And all we hear from him is that the election has been stolen. And he fixates on nothing else. Before that, certainly his distortions, his disinformation cost lives without a doubt. There's a big multinational study put together by Lancet, the British medical journal, that came out last week estimating that about 40% of America's death burden need not have occurred, and occurred because of policy failures at the federal level. That's a very serious charge, and that would definitely go to the Oval Office.
Laurie, I know from working in a White House and from now covering a White House, there's a short memory for just how bad the Biden administration had it when it came to vaccine supply and just even contacts and coordination with the states. In your view, what would you urge the public to sort of have patience for? It is obvious that Ron Klain and President Biden and the Vice President, that they are all focused on this. But I'm sure just from working in government, it's going to take longer to unring the bell that you said Trump wrong by being literally AWOL. That's not political speech. That was his choice to remove himself from leading this country through the pandemic. How much time does this new administration need to right the ship?
Oh, goodness. I mean, the problem we have right now, Nicolle, is that we have these variant strains that have emerged. And now, just announced last night, a new one, perhaps even more dangerous, has emerged in the greater Tokyo area of Japan. It is similar to the one that emerged in the Manaus Amazon area of Brazil a few months ago. And one of the things we now know for sure is that these variants began emerging during the holiday season in key countries, the UK, and certainly spread in the United States during the holiday period when we had so much social mobility. So many people on the move, so many of them infected and spreading virus around. And the more you spread the virus, the greater the possibility that you will breed mutations. And we also know that that would have been a moment for the White House to have ordered a relatively inexpensive effort to immediately start doing genetic testing to see, do we have these variants in America? And if so, where? And can we do the kind of scale of testing? Can we order CDC to do it on a massive scale? Well, now we're saddled with all of this. We're in a mad race to vaccinate, fully vaccinate with all doses, as many Americans as possible, even as these variants are spreading. And we now know they're in the majority of all states in the United States. We have at least 3 variants, plus our own homegrown ones. And a third of all identified variants are, Nicolle, in the state of Florida. Now, if we watch this all unfolding, you realize that it's really a mad race right now for the administration. Can we get vaccine out safely and efficiently to as many people as possible and forestall this takeover by these variants? Because now we know, and we have a brand new paper just out today that absolutely is the nail in the coffin on this question. We now know if you're not fully vaccinated, you are not protected against these new variants. And even with vaccine, the protection against some of the variants is quite tenuous, especially if you only have 1 dose vaccine.
Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.